Hi and welcome. I'm Beth Chalette or YogiBethC, and today I'm bringing you a restorative yoga practice that you can perform seated at your desk. So, restorative yoga is a type of yoga in which we are really focused on relaxing and being supported by props or the ground. In this case, we'll use the props that we have available at our desk, and that includes our desk and a chair. The pose will actually be a standing hang. I'll demo it for you in a few moments. You can also use a wall for the hang because we're going to be resting our hips and our behind on either the desk is how I'm going to do it or a wall and then our head on the chair. Before we get to the pose, I'm going to start with leading you through a breathing practice, and I'll talk more about that shortly. And then while you're holding the pose, I'm going to offer you a reading. And the reading I've chosen for today is from this book, Awakening the Spine by Vanda Scaravelli. And we'll get to that at the end. And I'll also link to that book right down below. Okay, so we'll set up for the breathing practice. So I'm going to give you a choice for today's breathing practice. We will be doing single nostril breathing, and you'll have a choice of either initiating the breath with your right nostril or initiating the breath with your left nostril. So I'll start by explaining right. Right nostril is called surya bhedana. Surya is sun, and so sun means energizing, warming. This is a great practice if you're watching with me at the start of your workday or in the middle of the day when you need a little bit of an uplift. The second type is Chandra bhedana. Chandra is moon, and that's left nostril breathing. The left nostril is associated with the right brain because it's sort of flipped in the brain hemispheres. So that is the more relaxing style. The practices will be performed exactly the same except with which nostril you initiate. So if it's early in the day for you, you need to be energized, you want to be warming your body and be activating, you will start with breathing in through the right, out through the left, and then you'll just continue that pattern. In right, out left, in right, out left. If you're more toward the end of your day, you need to relax, you want to cool, to calm, you will do the opposite. You'll do in left, out right. And I'm not mirroring in this. So in left, out right. And we'll just continue. It's kind of like an arch that way, but you'll go around in circles. So in left, out right, in left, out right. And you'll just continue. You'll gently use your thumbs or your fingers to hold the nostril that you're not breathing through, to hold it gently closed. So I'm going to be doing the cooling, the in left, out right. It's late afternoon for me, so that's a good time to do that. And I will lead you through a few rounds of this breath. You can practice it several minutes for yourself. If we don't do it long enough today, you're welcome to continue. We'll do maybe about 10 rounds total. I'm not going to count too closely. So start with a few natural breaths. Simply be aware of your own breath, feeling that you can access the breath in your body. Feel how it enters both nostrils naturally. Have that sense of what you need today. Remember that energizing, you're going to start with your right. Cooling, you'll start with your left. And then when you're ready, close the opposite nostril. So if you're starting left, you'll close right like me. Take a breath in through your nostril of choice. Close that nostril, release the other, breathe out through the second. And then close that nostril, breathe back in through the first. Gently close, breathe out through the second. Gently close, breathe back in through the first. Gently close, breathe out through the second. That was 3 rounds. Gently close, and you can do this with one hand, in through the first, out through the second, in through the first, out through the second, in through the first. Your pace can be faster or slower. Slower is probably better. Out through the second, in through the first, out through the second. You may choose to count your breath, so in through the first, 2, 3, out through the second, 2, 3, in through the first. Whatever count makes sense to you, going for even inhale and exhale. Exhale the second side. Let's do about 3 more rounds. Inhale, exhale, staying with the same pattern. So if you're energizing, inhale right, exhale left, continuing. If you're cooling, relaxing, with me, inhale left, exhale right, and 1 more round. Inhale and exhale. And then as you release your hand, return to your normal 2 nostril breathing, whatever your natural breath pattern is, observing any impact or effects in your body. So that idea of heating and cooling, energizing versus relaxing, those are general principles. It might affect you differently. That is fine, and that's really important feedback to know about your own body. If it turns out that inhaling through the right was relaxing for you, perhaps that's your relaxing breath. That's your go-to breath when you want to relax. So we'll move into the restorative postures. Mostly restorative is done lying on the ground. So this is a little different because we're at our desk. We're going to be standing, but we are still going to do it in a very supportive and relaxing way. We'll be doing what's called a standing hang. It's also known as ragdoll or standing forward fold. And as I stand up, I might leave the frame for a moment. I'm going to step back a little bit to keep myself in the frame. I'm going to come to standing. I'm going to back myself up to my desk. So what we want to do for this pose is to have the feet a little bit away from the object and our bottom leaning against the object. Again, a wall works great for this. So if you don't have a desk of the right height, in fact, my desk, this is a craft desk, is a little bit higher, so it's really a perfect height for me when I take my feet a little bit away. But if you find that whatever your desk is or your counter, it's too high or too low, a wall is a great asset. And then you want to have something in front of you. You can hang freeform, but it makes it a little more relaxing to have a chair in front of you. So I've pushed out my chair, so that's going to be my point for my head. I'm going to start to fold from my hip crease, and I'm actually going to widen my feet a little bit further from hip width apart because I know for me that is more relaxing. You can play around with whether it helps to keep your legs closer together or to widen. Whatever the position is, you'll start to hinge right from your hip crease. And I'm going to also relax my knees, bending my knees a little bit because, again, that feels more relaxing to me. I'm going to turn the camera just a tad so that you can see me more. All right. So leaning into this, I actually have a pillow on my chair, so that's going to help. Until you can place your forehead or your arms on the object, whatever position feels comfortable for you to get a nice hang in your back without holding on too much with your muscles. So my final position would be something like this. Here I'm really supported. My butt is hanging or just backed up to the desk. It's really supported. I'm not working anything. I can even soften my knees a little bit more for less work in my hamstrings. And I can really relax in that position. So you take a few moments to find your relaxed position. And as you're setting up with that and wiggling around for that, I'm going to prepare for the reading. we're not going to hold this pose a super long time. Restorative postures can be held anywhere up to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even longer than that. We'll be holding just a few minutes. You'll hold the pose as I do the reading because you're in the standing position. So it's a little bit, it's less relaxing, obviously, than if we were lying down. It's going to take a few minutes. It's more of a, I guess, a time out is a nice way to think of it. So feel free to adjust. Once you've adjusted to the point that you're comfortable, then see if you can settle into stillness with your body, and that will help to start to settle into stillness with your mind. So I'll do the reading from Awakening the Spine. I was looking around for a reading, and I found that in the chapter where Vonda talks about the brain, it was kind of a good model for what we did today, both with the left-right breathing, left or right breathing, and also with the hip hang, with the forward fold. So this is on page 123 of the book. She says, "Did you ever try to relax your brain? The structure of the brain is divided into two parts, right and left. We can drop the two hemispheres and create space between them. When this happens, the two sides will slip aside like the curtains of a window. You are then going to discover how much tension was collected there. Gravity relaxes the brain. This will be possible only if you let the pull of gravity reach the top of your skull. In this process, the many nerves along the channel of the spinal cord will also find relief. The brain is part of the mind. There must be order in your brain. Avoid the conglomeration of thoughts that brings confusion, and think of one thing at a time. The mind needs to get clear. Logically connected messages from the brain, and at the same time, it needs to be free to doubt and open to receive and reject all kinds of information. Surely, an open mind is an intelligent mind. A brain that knows all the answers is a dead brain. From an inquiring, questioning brain arises a healthy curiosity where there will be freedom to explore, freedom to understand, freedom to discover, and in which the looking will be the seeing. Even the brain needs a rest. You will be surprised to realize that when the mechanical section of the brain stops circling around, moving from one thought to another, there will be a chance for the brain to relax. So take just a few more breaths in your hang, in this pose, and maybe reflect on that idea of gravity helping pull your brain, the top of your head, or the crown of your head, or the front part, whatever's resting on the chair, toward the ground. That sense of releasing that swirling inside of the thoughts going around and around. Allowing them to settle. Just like in a snow globe, the thoughts begin to settle to the bottom over time. And then one more breath in this posture. As you start to rise up, do so slowly, maybe placing your hands on the chair or the desk, helping yourself up, allowing your body to adjust to being upright once again. You can have a seat. And then in the seated position also, taking a few natural breaths. Finish with the observation we did, like after the breathing practice. Observing the effects on your body. Yoga provides a wonderful chance to learn about your body. What works for you, what doesn't? What was helpful about this practice, what wasn't? I hope that there's some takeaway to that for you, something that you found useful, whether it was the breathing practice, the time out, the idea of settling your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice today. Take care. Be well.